I have been doing all the right things on my weight loss journey. I have been consistent with having a well-balanced meals, getting my step count on, working out, staying hydrated, getting good sleep, and lowering my stress levels. And it's frustrating when you're doing all the right things you know to do and the scale doesn't budge and you're not seeing any differences. And especially if you're on a GLP-1 medication, even if you're paying for it through your medical coverage or out of pocket, this stuff is expensive and it's hard to just remain patient and let the time pass. Sometimes that's what you do have to do, but other times you just need to go up on your dose. So I have recently been on my next dose and I want to talk about it. When should you move up and when should you just let it coast? Hello, my name is Elise. If you're new to my channel, hello. I've been on my weight loss journey for the past year with the help of a GLP-1 medication called Zepbound. I have lost over 45 pounds and I'm still on my weight loss journey. So moving on to my next dose, I have been on 7.5 milligrams for the past 2 months now, and I have recently moved up to 10 milligrams. Why? Well, because I've been doing all the right things, all the things that I know to do, and I've been patient. I've been adjusting myself, and I think I'm ready to move up. So before I get started on anything, I feel silly even saying this, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not your doctor. So before you move up on a dose or change anything about your diet and workout plan, please consult your physician or your healthcare professional that you are working with while you're on a GLP-1 medication. Starting off on a GLP-1 medication, there is a starter dose. Well, for Zepbound, it starts at a 2.5 milligrams, and each box, it looks similar to this. They all look the same. There's 4 vials in each of them. And that's a 1 month supply because it's a weekly injection. So in the beginning of my journey, I started off at 2.5 milligrams like everybody else does. And you have the choice of staying on 2.5 milligrams or moving up to the next dosage, which is 5 milligrams. When I started my journey, I moved up right away to 5 milligrams. Most of my weight loss journey has been on 5 milligrams. But after about 6 months of being on that, I moved up to 7.5. At that time, that 7.5 milligrams was too strong for me. I was extremely exhausted. I just didn't feel like doing the things that I used to do, and I was feeling a little depressed at that time. So after being on 7.5 dosage, I went back down to 5 milligrams. But since then, I have recently moved back up to 7.5 milligrams. I've been on it for a while and I feel completely different than the first time. Since moving up to 7.5 milligrams, I have not had a traumatic weight loss. However, the scale has not had huge fluctuations in my weight. Like there'd be 1 week I'd be down 2 pounds, then the next week I'd be up 3 pounds. There was a huge fluctuation. But since being on 7.5 milligrams, I have been consistently at a 45-pound weight loss. Most of my weight actually was lost on 5 milligrams. The majority of weight was I lost in the first 5 months, and that was a 30-pound weight loss. And since then, for the past 6 months, I've slowly lost that second half of the 15 pounds. So starting off on your dose, you already know you have to stay on that dose for 4 weeks. And at that 4-week mark, you can decide with your healthcare professional if it's a good idea to stay on that same dosage or if it's a good idea to move up. Now, some people stay on the lowest dosages as their entire weight loss journey. And there was a part of me that if I can be honest, there was like some shame in moving up on the dosage. I wanted to say, oh, I was on the lowest dose and lost most of my weight. Get over that. It's been proven that more people lose more amount of weight on higher dosages than on lower dosages. If you're some of the ones that can stay on the lowest dosage and it works best for you based upon the impact of your side effects, then that's good. That's good for you, but everyone's weight loss journey is different. Everyone stays on this medication for different amounts of times, and everyone feels the impact of the medication on different dosages. So with that being said, beyond the 4 weeks, when is it time to move on to the next dose? First reason is, how are you with your side effects? Are you able to handle the side effects that you are experiencing? On some of the doses, I felt nauseous. Some people can have headaches. Some people can just feel really exhausted. The most common side effects are nausea, constipation, and fatigue. Now, there are additional side effects that people have, such as headaches. I've heard people say, but for the most part, if you are still struggling with side effects, then it's not a good idea to go on to the next dose, even if you're feeling like you're not losing any weight. But even with the common side effects, you still have to know yourself. You know yourself the best. And sometimes you just have to be a detective. For example, is the GLP-1 giving you a headache or are you dehydrated? Is the GLP-1 making you feel more constipated, or are you refusing to increase fiber into your diet? Is the GLP-1 making you extremely tired, or are you not having a well-balanced diet that's giving you energy throughout the day? See, these are all things that I had to learn along the way. There were some times where I was feeling a little off and I instantly thought it was the GLP-1. When you have to actually look and be detective about how you spend your day, what you're eating, what your patterns are like, you can fix it yourself on your own. Sometimes the side effects are a direct result from the GLP-1. I certainly have experienced that. For example, constipation, that's a big thing, right? That a lot of people experience. But I've learned to deal with it. Not so much deal with it. There were other things in my diet that I was able to overcome it, such as taking daily Benefiber and increasing my fiber and hydration regularly throughout the day. And since then, initially, I was feeling constipated and had extreme side effects. But since I've been on it for a while and learned tricks and things to combat the side effects, I was able to get over them. Another example was when I first started the GLP-1, I had these nauseous feelings when I ate. And when I looked back at it after about 5 weeks, I realized I was simply just eating too much. So I had started that 1 bite rule where I left 1 to 2 bites on my plate after every meal. And when I incorporated that every time I ate, I realized I didn't have that nauseous feelings. It's just that 1 to 2 bites that can make you feel comfortable versus overstuffed. And that's something that you're gonna have to learn while you're on a GLP-1 medication, what works best for you. So if you've been on a GLP-1 medication for a while and you're not experiencing extreme side effects, or the side effects that you're having are tolerable and you're able to work with it, and you're experiencing the scale budge, then maybe it's time for you to move up to the next dose. Another reason why you may need to move up to the next dose is if the food noise and food cravings have returned. Now, let me just say, having an appetite is healthy. We are humans, we're supposed to eat. So wanting to eat is not a reason to move up to the next dose. It's when your weaknesses, those cravings, like if you're thinking about food all the time and those foods that used to not look good for a while are starting to look good again, it may be time to move up to the next dose. Even if you're feeling like you're having cravings and the food noise is coming back, you still have to be a detective about what you're eating. See, when I started having cravings again, I realized that I had to stay focused on my protein. Having a high protein diet, I stick to about 80 to 100 grams a day of protein, and that has left me so satisfied. You do have to change what you're eating. As your dietitian, I was still craving things. And so she had told me to write down for 1 week what I was eating, everything. There's no judgment, there's no emotion attached to it, it's just data. And you can see, as scribbly as I wrote, it didn't matter how ugly it looked. It was on my refrigerator, and I just wanted to make sure that it got done so that I can be transparent with myself and see why I was still craving things in the evening. And what I had discovered was there's 2 days out of the week where I wasn't actually hitting even 80 grams of protein a day. And I looked at the following weekend. So I started Sunday and ended on a Sunday. And what I realized is that I am a bad historian to what I ate. I can't really remember. I can remember what I ate last night, but I can't remember what I ate 3 nights ago. And when I looked back in detail about what my week was, it was an off week. My granddaughter had came home from Virginia and we had a family barbecue in Walnut Creek. But when I looked closer to my diet, I had realized I had an alcoholic beverage 2 times that week. Now that's more than what I regularly do. I'm usually doing 1 a week or once or twice every other week since I've been on this weight loss journey and really cracked down with what I'm doing. But I had to look and see that there were errors in my diet. Now, of course, we're not going to be perfect, especially 100% of the time, but it was good for me to see that I wasn't as perfect as I thought I was. Additionally, I used to do intermittent fasting where I would not eat in the mornings and I would start my day, my eating window in the afternoon. Since really getting focused on my eating, I had to front load my day. I had to start my day with protein because if I didn't, there wasn't enough protein in my day. And towards the evening, I was wanting to snack. So if you're having food noise and cravings, it may not be time to move up to the next dose. It may be time to really dive deep, write down a daily journal of what you're eating, and look back and see what patterns and habits you're having. But if you are doing 80% of the time a really good job and you're still having those cravings and food noise, well, it may be time to move up to the next dose. Side note, since I've been on my weight loss journey, I had underestimated the power of staying hydrated and getting a good night's sleep. Now, I have heard these things time and time again. But when I get all my water in, right now I just do 90 ounces of water a day. I am not hungry. Even if I have tea in my afternoon or coffee in the morning, I'm staying hydrated, I'm eating good, nutritious food. Those evening cravings have gone away. I used to watch TV with my husband. He would pop some popcorn and I'd be like, oh, popcorn is fiber, it's healthy for me. That popcorn was drenched in butter. Let's just be honest, okay? Salt and butter. And when I know that I am susceptible to wanting those things at night in the evenings when I have not drank enough water that day. Also, another pattern going to sleep. I have created an amazing sleep routine. I do not have technology, whether it's my phone or TV, after 8:30 p.m. It's just shut down time. I have my room nice and cool. And even though I may not sleep a full 8 hours of sleep, I allow that time for a full 8 to 9 hours of sleep. I'll put on some soft music, some jazz, something with no words, and I'll do a 5-minute evening stretch. That just sets the tone to have a really good night's sleep. And I have been getting up before my alarm clock, so don't underestimate the power of staying hydrated and getting a good night's sleep. Those all things affect your mood, affect how you feel, if you're sluggish, if you're tired, if you're irritable, and those things will cut off those cravings. So do you need to move up on next dose, or do you just need to track your water and get better good night's sleep? Another reason to go up on your GLP-1 dose is if the weight is just not coming off, if the scale isn't budging. Now, we all know by now that the scale is not the only way to track progress. Before and after pictures. Are your clothes getting a little looser? Is your belt on the tighter loop? Are you having more energy? There are a lot of other ways to determine if you're losing weight beyond the scale. But I still track my weight on the scale, and it's frustrating when the number is going up and staying the same. So if you're doing all you know what to do and you're trying your best and the scale still isn't budging and it's been longer than 3 to 4 weeks, then it might be time to go up on your dose. I've said this before, if you're on your GLP-1 journey, I highly recommend getting with a registered dietitian so that they can help you along the way. Because some of us do have strong side effects where going up on the next dose isn't practical. Some of our budgets are budgeted for a certain amount of time being on this medication, and staying on it for many, many years is not practical. On your weight loss journey, whether you're staying on the lowest dosages of 2.5 or 5 milligrams, or you didn't see any results until 7.5, 10 milligrams, and you're parking at 15 milligrams, it doesn't matter. Do what works best for you, because the whole purpose of this is to become healthier versions of ourselves, no matter what dosage you're on. So if you're feeling stuck like me and just wanting something else, you're just knowing you're doing all that you can and you're just not seeing any results, results, it might be time to move up to the next dose. So now I am newly to the 10 milligram dosage. I was slightly hesitant to talk about it so early because I just didn't know how my body was going to react to it. So I will keep you posted on what is to come with me being on 10 milligrams. I hope I gave you some value today, and anything that I said helped you along the way on your weight loss journey. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one.